opportunity because you're scared or you feel out of your box or vulnerable, like you have to put yourself in that box. You have to like jump out of the box then.
Orchestrate your life so you can then meet somebody famous or become richer.
Yeah.
You should orchestrate your life because then when you're doing something bigger than yourself,
Yeah.
you're actually less lonely. You're more intentional. You weren't as enamored with it as you wanted them to be.
Yeah. They thought I was
most people,
they're like, what is she
well, I mean,
out of the beauty industry?
Well, most people talk to hear themselves think. Most people actually say things that they're fearing themselves. So for you stepping out of the box.
Welcome to another Million Miles, your personal lifestyle concierge with credibility. I'm Danielle Kiesling, and in each episode, I connect you with unparalleled access to authentic, credible voices from across the entire world of beauty, wellness, fashion, travel, and mindset. All right, friends, thank you again for coming back to another Million Miles. So before we jump in, I want you to think about the last relationship that truly changed your life. Not necessarily a networking moment. I mean, the kind of connection that really opened up a door, softened a season, challenged your thinking, possibly, and reminded you of who you are. Because I've learned this the hard way, the right relationships don't just support your life, they shape it. Today's guest lives at the intersection of connection, impact, and creativity, and he's built a global movement around it. So please welcome David Homan, is the CEO and founder of Orchestrated Connecting, which is a worldwide network of super connectors, I guess, focused on creating meaningful impact. So thank you for joining us.
It's such a pleasure to be here. And I will say, when you say super connector or connector, I don't think everyone knows what that means. And even people who are that have that problem. But, with your beautiful intro, like what I'd ask everyone to think about is the person that you met, maybe they weren't your closest friend. Maybe there was somebody in passing, but they said, Danielle, you have to meet Linda.
Yeah.
And then they were right. You don't maybe know it the next day, but 2 years later, it's transformed your life in some substantial way. That's the power of a connector, most often undervalued by themselves and others, but for me, one of the most important, powerful people on the planet.
So I agree with this 110%. I have had so many people in my lifetime that I'm like, why am I meeting this person? And what connection is here? And every time I go with it, it always becomes an impactful pivot in my life, an impactful opportunity in my life. Give me a little bit more detail. Give me your background, first of all. How did you get into this? And what is a super connector? What is this network that you're building?
Sure. So I come from middle-class beginnings in northern Florida, which is really southern Georgia. For people who think of it as Miami, it's way farther north than even Disney World. I got to New York through college, a little bit up the Hudson River.
Okay.
And this massive, scary city I've now been in 25 years became my networking hub and home.
Okay.
And everyone who will argue New York is not the best city in the planet is arguing it while visiting me in New York. And so although there are many places and beautiful ways to live, for me, this is my home.
Okay.
And when you come with no network, I knew my mom's best friend's best friend when I set foot in New York. I had to build a network from scratch. I had a few friends from college, people I liked, but they weren't in the world I wanted to be in.
Okay.
And I was an aspiring classical pianist and composer.
Yeah,
who wanted to explore the world of nonprofits and philanthropy because that was in my blood.
Okay.
And so everything seemed to be on the right path. A few years in, I got what I thought was a dream job, providing scholarships and grants to artists and arts organizations on a global scale.
Okay.
And we had millions of dollars in the bank. We had a prestigious brand, an established board. And then housing bubble recession hit. Little old Ponzi scheme called Bernie Madoff happened. And all of a sudden, the rug was pulled out from under us. I didn't know if I'd have a job in 3 weeks or 3 months. And I had to figure out how to help myself keep this charity alive and how to help 1,000 artists get the money that they needed that we had just had disappear from our bank account.
That's wild.
It was. I had people blame me for the losses to Madoff, even though I was 13 when the decision was made and had never been to Manhattan before. But in a moment of crisis, you have to rise up. And I did something that was the opposite of what most people said I should do, because I had experienced the failures in what I would call tribal networking. Talking to people who looked like me, sounded like me, focused on the things I focused on, it didn't work. So a friend had we're investing in women brunch. I went to that. Got involved with friends working with refugees, mental health, went to conferences I had no place being in.
Wow, that's cool.
And I would find that one person at every event. Sometimes there were a few, and they weren't necessarily the one who was the CEO or the star.
Yeah.
But they knew everyone.
Yeah.
And they listened to you, even though you thought you weren't somebody. And then they said, you should meet. And that world became my inherited world. The failure was they all loved and trusted me. I didn't know that they didn't love or trust, or in many cases even know each other. And so I decided with a single event that's now 10 years in, over 200 sold out events, 2,500 members across a global scale.
Wow.
To connect connectors. And I run it as a private opt-in network to support those who support others with the power of the introduction.
That's crazy. So I actually, I love everything you're saying right now, because this is my life. People are always like, how do you work for the hair industry? And then you do branding and you do coaching and consulting. And then now you're into peptides and, and one of my business partners runs Amazon stores, and, you just never know. So tell me about what was the aha moment for you that happened when you were like, wow, I need to get maybe past the people that look like me, talk like me, to get into a whole different pool of mindset? Where did that obviously come from? And what was your turning point to be like, now I need to take this to the next level?
So 2 different moments in my life paired together, they bookend this, for which one, I was an absolute idiot. And the other one, I just had to stop listening to people who didn't want to help me, but give me advice.
Yeah.
So
Amen.
I'm incredibly good at fundraising and networking.
Okay.
I am just the type of person who, you name an ultra high net worth individual, I've met them, I know them, I have access. And I built that in the philanthropic space. And when I needed to fundraise amongst those who I thought loved and trusted me, I was told no 1 million times.
Okay.
And that's when I decided, let me branch out from my network of arts. Let me get involved in many things that have nothing to do with it.
Okay.
And then what changed was that's where I met those connectors. So then I thought, aha moment, I'm 85% of the funds from this charity are coming from my network.
Okay.
And therefore I've become a powerful networker. And then the phone kept ringing. People would call me up and say, hey, I'm producing a movie in Rwanda. Do you know anyone in there? And I'd go, I don't know, but Sasha would know. And they'd take the call with Sasha. They'd both call me up. They go, that was the best intro we've had all year.
Yeah.
And repeat after repeat after repeat, I was connecting people who then knew people together until about, I think it was 12 years ago now. A friend of mine calls me up. He's like, hey, a friend and I are investing a lot in cannabis and cryptocurrency. Do you know anyone who sits at the intersection of both of those?
Okay.
And these were nascent at that point. And I was like, yeah, Jeff.
Wow.
I made a call, introduced them to a friend who I knew through my best friend's wife's best friend's family. And it was the perfect intro.
Interesting. That's so I mean, what I'm hearing, because this happens a lot with people I think that aren't confident in their skill set, is you're not gatekeeping. You are connecting everybody. And I think that that's so powerful to say out loud too, because there's so many, in my opinion, I've come across some very successful people, and they don't want to make the connection because they're in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, I don't want that person to get more successful than me, or I don't want to drive, I don't want to put my name on the line, or whatever the reason is. I find that it's interesting because I see those people, and then you're absolutely the opposite. So why, how are you benefiting from all these connections?
When you take the long game, which is a give and give approach, and I did not do this from an abundance mindset. I thought my job was going to be over. I wasn't sure I could stay in New York. And then years later, as I then had children, it still was hard to keep everything alive to build what was right. So this is not coming from a place of privilege and, okay, well, I made some introductions and suddenly I'm in the room with Ray Dalio or Steven Spielberg or Malala or name somebody everyone would want to meet, but I'm in all those rooms now. I know those people. I got a text from a guy I was introduced me to this person named Candace, and we're texting back and forth. We jump on a phone call because we couldn't both find time for a Zoom. We become friends. The next call, she jumps on, and I look at her name, and it's Candace Parker. She looks at my name, and she doesn't know me, but she thinks I should know her, but I don't because I hadn't watched TV or sports in years. And then I say to one of my close friends, and he's like, oh my God, she's like one of the best basketball stars ever. She's won the Olympics twice with gold medals. And I was like, well, we were talking about how I could help her parent her kid who was running around in circles from her house. And I told her go counterclockwise and surprise him and she'll be less tired. And we bonded as friends. And so like she is a friend. She blurbed my book. And so the why of this is when you connect to a person human to human, not to get through them or to think you have to get to them, and you actually spend the time to know them, you build a better community, not a better network.
I love that. You're all about building the community. So tell me about that. So you're doing obviously community connections, and I'm assuming you have seminars and all of these things that you can like meet people.
I mean, I spend my days running events, going to conferences. My kids have with me a display of all the snow globes that I bought from every city I've been to.
Okay.
And I thought this was so impressive till one of my daughter's friends came over one day and just looked at it and said, man, you must be so tired. And so, there's the reality of this, which is like, this is a slog, but I'm doing it for one reason, which is I believe the world is better when the right people connect with each other.
Yeah.
This is not light networking. This is not just two friends should meet because you both care about hair and beauty. This friend is in private equity and bought a bunch of barbershops. And this friend has a manufacturing facility that's making a new type of cream or gel. Maybe they should talk. And then a year later, a business partnership forms. So this is not for the elite only, but at the high end of what impact needs.
Okay.
And so I convene people globally. I do events in 10 major US cities, the UK and Canada.
Okay.
The network is so vast that I connect people in Perth, Australia to each other.
Wow.
But all of it is about figuring out who you should meet so I can get out of the way, and systematically solving the problem of what happens when people who are incredible at building their own ecosystem, by doing so, they cannot be in another. When you connect ecosystem or to ecosystem super nodes, then trust is transferred, relationships build. The fodder that is the day and day of you and I just knowing lots of people who know and trust us become not you mentioning your business partner involved with Amazon randomly on this podcast, but coming back and going, hey, I interviewed this guy. Actually, he might be able to help you with his network here. And this is what more intentional connecting needs to be, along with the value of the people who can do it at the highest level, which is what I've made my mission in life to be.
I think that's so cool. So like, I think this isn't probably a little bit of an intimidating conversation, honestly, for a lot of people that are listening, because you dropped some names but like, give me your insight as to like, the normal everyday person that isn't a celebrity or isn't maybe some big wig that's been written up in Forbes or these big publications. Like, what's in it for them? How do they get involved? Because I know you talked about that in your bio, that this is like, how do you basically bring yourself almost up to this level, right? I always say like attracts like. So my biggest thing is surround yourself with people that you want to be like, and the universe will take care of it. So what's your philosophy behind that?
So my philosophy, or what I call my methodology, Danielle, I actually put into my book, Orchestrating Connection. It's not some highfalutin book for people who are CEOs to meet other CEOs or investors. I think that there are a series of soft skills that we learn. I'll say with full disclosure, I think most of them are learned if you ever learned performing arts, music, theater, or dance in particular. Think about the amount of times you go into a room, you are curious to somebody else and you are vulnerable. Are they vulnerable or curious back? 3 times out of 10, the answer is yes. The other 7, their mistake, because they didn't give you any energy, any resonance for you to want to engage with them, even though you got to know them.
Okay.
Because they don't actually care about you. So if 70% of the world, which could be 70% of these listeners even, think about when you meet somebody and you tell them your pitch, you tell them what you're doing, and then they don't call back. On a date, on a business meeting, whatever it might be, it's all the same, because we all want to be heard, validated, and we actually want to feel like we connect with more depth than I met this person, they work in a bank. You want to learn more about people.
With over 26 years of real life experiences as a thriving entrepreneur, I'm here to bring you sophistication, insight, and expertise into every aspect of your life. This is Another Million Miles, where luxury meets authenticity and every step brings you closer to the life that you deserve.
So everyone could be more curious. Everyone could be courageous and be more vulnerable. These are not hard. And systematically, when you do that under the guise of diversity, don't talk to people who only look like you or talk like you, you can set a founding block of relationships in place that then allow you to do two things, which are really the most important too, which is if you meet somebody and you're generous to them without an expectation in return, you build trust. If they are generous to you and you honor what they did with gratitude, you'd build the same trust. This is the game. It's not highfalutin or sophisticated. It's a better way to be with people. Because think about the last time you went to an event and somebody didn't really talk with you. And then later on, somebody goes, oh, she has a podcast. And that person cozies back up and goes, oh, can I be a guest? I've heard your show is called 1,000 Miles. And you're like, it's not called 1,000 Miles. And I don't want to interview you now because you showed your cards. I believe the world needs more of, and these are simple, but systematically make you not just more well-rounded, but you have better outcomes from it.
Yeah. So give me paint the picture for the people that are listening about what this looks like. Like, where does this happen? How often do you connect people? How do they get involved? All of that. Cause I'm like,
Sure.
yes, and yes. What's next?
So I run a very special private community. It's a really stupid business. I charge no membership fees. I take no sponsorship. I do events at cost. But if you are somebody who would be deemed an action-oriented, natural giver that I or somebody else would leave my children with, then whether I meet you or somebody in my network refers you and you say, I'm a connector. I didn't realize there were so many of us that there's a community for us. That's the specific community that I have built.
Okay.
If you're involved in women in sports, 6 friends run communities. If you're a woman in fintech, another 5 run those. If you're focused on psychedelics and mental health, there are millions of these communities.
Yeah.
People who run them belong to mine because there's not been a place for them to belong besides what they built for others.
Hallelujah to that. Yes.
But larger structure, right? Every community matters. We need more of it. The theme of every conference this year is like what happened in Hollywood when there were 15 different asteroid hitting the Earth movies all in the same year. Everyone is the power of community. The power of community, maximizing, because the thing technology will not replace is the way we build trust in person or even virtually by connection.
Yeah.
And it can augment us, which is what the tech company I'm building is focused on. But what it cannot do is automate us. It can't replace what we all need, which is a way to not feel lonely, a way to feel heard, accepted, like there's something more meaningful in life. And all the skills I advocate, they don't need to just belong to my community. They come from a study of the best communities I'm privileged to be part of.
Yeah. No, that's so true. People are dying for real connection right now.
They're dying for it, but they don't often want to spend the work and the time to understand what they need to do
100%
to be authentic and connect. When you do it, reap thousands of benefits. You also are a better person while doing so.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think you just hit something that people need to hear is that it's not just going to slap me in the face. You have to go out and seek it. And because we're hiding behind our phones all day long and we're, people are losing the mental, I think, momentum to go out and just talk with people because this is all that it is. And it is a simple thing to do, but you have to be vulnerable and you have to, feel a little nervous and, or you're not growing.
All true. I go back to what my mother taught me years ago as I was trying to build a social life after being sick in middle school. And she said to me, well, what's the worst that can happen? Is the fear of how you think people will react to you going to come true? And then I started to realize my fears of how people might react or judge me or treat me were greater than the reality ever. And I've had tons of negative interactions. I have lots of people that don't like me.
Mhm.
That's just the nature of the world. If we all liked each other, it'd be a very interesting world.
It would.
But it's not that. But when you try to find your resonance in your people, unless you've done the work and unless you put it out there, you will fail unless they have such self-awareness that they can seek it out and bring it out in you.
Mm-hmm.
But those people are us. Those are the connectors
Yeah.
who have that patience layer to go, it's been 10 minutes. This person's asked me nothing. Dig a little deeper. Then the person goes, I've been so lost since my uncle sold his company. Which one? And then you name like something everyone drinks. And you're like, okay, you should talk to my friend at Amazon. It comes out, but we have so many layers for no reason other than the fear of what people might say or react to us.
Isn't that crazy? It's funny. I've been doing, I think, a podcast for about a year and a half now. And I always loved to listen to podcasts, but like that little voice inside my head was like, what are people going to think in my industry? What, like, they're going to be like, why is she doing a podcast? Like, she's like brand creative director over like these huge companies. And now she's like doing a podcast that's so off topic, And it's so interesting. I can't tell you, like, it made me so crazy and so nervous and so like feeling vulnerable. And I did it. And literally, I've met the most amazing people. And now for me, it's like, I don't even care if like, of course I want people to listen because I think that there's so much value to like what we talk about, but it's not like, for me, I'm just like tuned into it because I meet people like you that I'm just like, wow, this is such a awesome connection, just such a good person, And I think those of you who are listening to this that are setting yourself back from opportunity because you're scared or you feel out of your box or vulnerable, like, you have to put yourself in that box. You have to like jump out of the box then, and you have to understand that it's not going to be comfortable.
It's not comfortable, but it's better than the reason that you shouldn't do it, which is, would you like nothing to change in your life?
Well, and I love that, like, because that's the thing. That's what people, I'm sure you mentioned earlier, like, yeah, it doesn't come at no cost. Like, you've been working, you're like driving. I'm sure your family every once in a while is like, are you going to quit work for today? Like, do we get you, Dad? But it also has, like, for you and I, like people that are connectors, there's something so liberating and so full of gratitude to have put those pieces together.
The other thing to add, and I'll just say this in response to what you said when you started your podcast, and maybe the people in your industry weren't as enamored with it as you wanted them to be.
Yeah. They thought I was
most people,
they're like, what is she
out
of the beauty industry?
Well, most people talk to hear themselves think. Most people actually say things that they're fearing themselves. So for you stepping out of the box, stepping into this, adding to your world, they're thinking, well, I couldn't do that. I'm too afraid to do that. And they're not even getting to the core of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, the beauty industry exists not to sell people a bunch of products.
Correct.
It exists to uplift them, because a significant amount of people on this planet wake up every day and they don't start their day right until they feel that they look right.
Yep.
And the statistics for women in particular, for women CEOs, is if 85% of them, they don't feel they dress right when they start their day, they don't lead that day. They don't lead well.
I can definitely say that is facts.
So why wouldn't somebody who understands the brand, the positioning, the high level of what then selling something to improve a positive outlook, when you then go into a podcast focused on purpose, meaning, intent, and how to really take this for the long haul in your life, which is also the aging process that beauty addresses, why are people questioning that when they're dedicating their lives to the same positive thing you're bringing out in your podcast? It's because they don't understand how to translate what is different from what they know.
Yeah.
And my world is to just spin that in a different way so people understand all of this is possible. I don't say to people, orchestrate your life so you can then meet somebody famous or become richer.
Yeah.
You should orchestrate your life because then when you're doing something bigger than yourself,
yeah,
you're actually less lonely. You're more intentional. You're happier. And everything in life shows when you have that, you actually need less beauty products. But that positive attitude is why somebody, when at their 70, looks like they're 40. It's not just genetics.
No.
It's more purpose in their life.
Yeah, no, 110%. And I think that now that all these industries are actually colliding together, the wellness, the biohacking, the beauty, like the entrepreneur networking. I think everything's connecting the dots now because we as humans are so lonely because of social media and everything's so digital that if not now, like, don't wait, because like if not now, when? And I think that more than ever do I think networking and connection is like the biggest piece of the pie.
I mean, I've made my whole life this.
Yeah.
So one of the things, as we head towards closing with this, that I just want to make sure people hear.
Yeah.
I think studying this at length, 15 years now, we have 4 to 5 moments in our life that'll transform it. As we started with your introduction,
Yeah.
I think there's only a handful, and we don't know if we missed them. So if you want something from your life and it doesn't seem like it can be right in front of you, it's because you cannot see it, but it doesn't mean you cannot work towards it. But the self-work and understanding the value and valuing the people around you isn't just a route way to get there. It's the way that it happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, David, this is great. I need to connect with you now. Add me to the connectors list, because this is why I love doing this podcast. And this is why I, put myself out on the limb to do it, because I was like, what's the worst that's going to happen? I love that advice. I say that to a lot of people, like, okay, so you kind of get a little like, oh, that person rejected me or whatever. But at the end of the day, to your closing statement, if you don't know, if you're not putting yourself out there, you're not going to know what you're missing.
Yeah, you might feel you're missing something, but you don't know because no one's going to validate it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so how do these listeners find you? How do they get connected? And, give me all those deets.
Yeah. So I made my life and myself easy to find with the goal that if you want to reach me, be intentional about it, because I lost this thing called time a long time ago. My major website is orchestratedconnecting.com.
Okay.
The book is Orchestrating Connection.
Okay.
With that are links to my conferences, my writings, my articles, my tech company. For my private gatherings, if you're a self-proclaimed connector or super connector, then reach out and share value first with you, Danielle, and ask to be connected to me.
Yeah.
That way you also know who's following you.
Yeah.
And, if somebody isn't listening to you, who was somebody you knew, it's not a disappointment. It's a filter to go, you didn't need them, because you have other people who are listening.
Yeah.
And that's why, for reaching me, it's all about the intent. It's about people understanding I do one thing. It's extraordinarily overwhelming and it works. And it's for the greater good, not just myself.
Yeah.
That's how I built this orchestrated world.
I love it. I love it. My gosh. Thank you so much, David, for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. Friends listening to this, if you felt any type of shift in your mindset and with this conversation, please hold on to it, think about it, and protect it. And, it's about choosing better connections, honestly, surrounding yourself with people that you want to be like, you want to grow, you want to help, or that wants to help you. So that should bring you back to your values and make your life feel bigger, lighter, and more intentional, to be honest. So I just, in this episode, we spoke about connectivity, networking, mindset, getting out of your own way, being vulnerable. I think these are all such great points. So if, again, this resonates with you, like this podcast, leave me a comment, follow David and his incredible journey in networking. And until next time, keep living your life, doing what you do, and be happy, because we only have one life to live. So thank you so much, David, again. And thank you for listening to Another Million Miles. Thank you for joining me on Another Million Miles, where luxury and authenticity meet to enrich your journey. This is Another Million Miles, and I'll see you on the path ahead in our next episode. Until then, keep embracing the journey, savoring each moment, keep dreaming big and moving closer to the life you envisioned, and traveling afar.